Hello and welcome back to End the Slant. Today is August 29th. My name is Brady and today I am joined as always with Mr. Dustin and Mr. Alex. Before we go any further, because football is literally more than a little bit of a week away because Thursday is the first start of the regular season. How you boys doing?
Good. Jacobs is back.
Yep.
I'm terrible. No, I'm doing good.
Good to hear. So, I want to go ahead and just start off with saying football. We made it, man. Literally, it's next week. And then one exciting thing we have this weekend as well is we actually have our fantasy draft. So we actually determined the order already. So I'll be picking at number 11. Dustin will be at 8. And then Alex will be at 9. And then Jared is actually at, 13? I think he's 13. I believe.
Yeah, none of us had even close to a
Yeah.
top 5 pick, so that's kind of crazy that not one of us snuck into the top 5. But
Jared's gonna pick Lamar first round.
no, he won't.
He
No,
won't.
I'm playing.
I think Jared gets Chubb. I think
so too.
Jared walks away with
Not
Chubb
if I
with
get
one of
him.
those picks. Wait, what?
Not if I take him.
Yeah, that's true.
Bijan's coming home.
To you?
Yep.
If he don't go before you. But yeah, we're excited about the fantasy draft this Saturday because obviously we got opening kickoff next weekend. Not next weekend. Of course, we have games on Sunday, but Thursday night football, Lions versus Chiefs. I'm very, very excited,
That's
man.
a good game.
Football's the best time of the year, man. It's like no debate in my mind. Football, when it comes around the time, you got spooky season, Halloween, cold weather. It's like
Perfect.
It's perfect, bro.
Like not too cold, but it's at the right temperature.
Yeah, and then obviously get to December, and it
Man.
goes downhill from there,
Bro.
basically, until we get to the off season, and then it's just dead, and then it's down bad, man.
It's
It
depressing.
sucks. But we obviously have been like previewing the divisions, and to go ahead and finish that up, we are going to just combine the rest of the NFC in this video because I feel like one of these divisions doesn't really need too much time anyway. But the other two, in my mind, are some of the most wide open divisions in the NFL.
I will say that if we're going to talk about the biggest questions, then I do feel like the NFC South does have a lot of question marks.
For sure. But actually, before we get into previewing divisions, let's talk about the two biggest topics. So obviously, over the weekend, Trey Lance was traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a mid-round pick, 4th round draft pick. The Cowboys invest in a backup quarterback. Is it to put some pressure on Dak? Is it to show Dak that, hey, we're thinking about life after you? I don't know. But it is definitely a very interesting trade that the 49ers made, especially since, as we know, they made the big investment to go trade out for him. And in my mind, Trey Lance never really got a fair opportunity in San Francisco to begin with.
I saw a report that it said he only started like 4 games. Like,
Yeah,
that was 4
literally.
games enough to prove anything to anybody. But
It's crazy how...
I feel like I guess they have to really be confident in both Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold to do this move. I also feel like on the Cowboys side, it really is going to have to light a fire under Dak's ass because I feel like he hasn't had too much competition. Like, I know people were hyped about Cooper Rush when he was doing his thing, but obviously Dak came back in and dug that spot right back. So I feel like that's another big thing is that everyone says that Trey Lance has all the tangible. So, like, if Trey Lance could get it going, then definitely he could put some pressure under Dak. And if Dak could play, like I keep on saying, in that playoff game that one year, dude, the Cowboys would probably win the Super Bowl if Dak played like that.
if he was consistent enough,
yeah.
Consistent. I think it is just to put some pressure on Dak. Obviously, Dak's going to start. I think the biggest thing is I kind of compare the Trey Lance to a Tony Romo because Tony Romo also went to a smaller D1 college,
Right.
just like Trey Lance. So it might be good for the system. Who knows? Honestly, I think the 49ers got the better of it all.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
After trading all that they did to get him?
Yeah, I don't think Trey Lance was going to be the guy for him.
So so it makes you wonder why they even did it to begin with.
I said the same thing.
It felt
I said
like
the same
such a
thing.
weird move at the time. This was obviously years ago. I mean, I forget who was all in that draft, but I know they moved up 3 first-round picks. Obviously, the Dolphins have benefited off that trade tremendously, walking away with Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Tittle, and then I think something else out of the trade. But the 49ers instead just really don't even give Trey Lance a chance, it feels like. So he barely started when Jimmy G was there. And then, of course, he starts next year. One of the games he played in was in a monsoon, so he really couldn't even take anything into consideration there. And then, the very next week, he gets injured. So it's just super unfair. As far as the Cowboys are concerned, I think this definitely shows that they're thinking about life after Dak Prescott. Whether that means Trey Lance will get any opportunity this year, that remains to be seen. Whether it's Dak getting hurt like he did last year, or if Dak is struggling. I don't know if they would go that far and bench him for Trey Lance. That would be kind of wild in my mind, especially since Trey Lance is just getting to this team.
He'd have to do super. He'd have to be awful.
Yeah, it would have to be it would just have to be a very bad year for Dallas in order for that to happen in my mind. But it's interesting. I mean, as a Giants fan and a Commanders fan, are you afraid of Trey Lance going forward if Dak is to be moved on from? No.
No, not at all.
No
like,
fear of Trey Lance.
I understand like the 49ers made a big move to get Trey Lance, so it's like why'd you even waste this pick? But obviously after last year they don't need him. Do they really need him?
Yeah,
I don't think they do.
Sam Darnold over him.
Then Brock Purdy stepped up, so it's like and the big question we kind of always had during this offseason, who's going to be the starting guy? I think it's pretty clear he's probably going to be the starting guy in San Francisco.
I thought it was Brock Purdy.
I thought it was a little bit of debate because obviously the investment you had in Trey Lance, you kind of have to throw him out. I feel like investing that much makes you want to throw him out there to see what you did or what you got. And then obviously Brock Purdy came in. No one really expected him to play the way that he did, and he just lit the world on fire. So you have to take that into consideration as well. So I think in all, the 49ers were in a tough spot. I mean, they invested in Trey Lance. When Brock Purdy plays as well as he did last year, it makes all the sense in the world that, Brock Purdy's the guy. And I guess you just get a 4th-round pick for Trey Lance while you can.
And that's like another thing, too, is just like that's why I can't say that I think the 49ers won that trade. Because, dude, you got cookies or like crumbs for your whole what you gave up for, and that package was insane.
Yeah,
right there.
Exactly.
And another thing to me is I like Brock Purdy, but I literally do not think he's gonna have that same year he did. I do not think.
We'll see. Man.
I do not think he's him. Like, I really don't.
The stretch he had was pretty wild. I will say that.
But he's on one of the most stacked teams. Like literally,
that's true.
Which is why Sam Darnold looks ass everywhere he goes. He goes to the 49ers. Dang, Kyle Shanahan's like, that guy looks pretty good out there.
That's what have I been saying? I've been saying I feel like that's another thing. Kyle Shanahan has been out there making like quarterbacks off the street look good. I don't even know why they felt the need to invest in Trey Lance like the way they did. I mean, they were fine with
crazy.
I don't know, man. It's interesting, but moving on to Jonathan Taylor. He will be starting the season on the physically unable to perform list. The Colts decided not to trade him away. The Dolphins were heavily rumored to land him. But as far as Jonathan Taylor is concerned, do you guys even see him playing this year or, playing for the Colts ever again at this point?
Well, the real thing that just has me like really thinking is he's not going to be playing, right? And they couldn't even get the trade package they wanted now. How is him sitting out, October? Yeah. How is him sitting out 4 weeks and up his trade value? That's just going to hurt it even more. So.
I think the only way it could is if some other team's running back got hurt or something. Like that's the only.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I guess if a team was like on a run, like for Super Bowl, and they thought maybe like the 49ers, for instance, Elijah Mitchell is hurt, so they went out and traded for CMC. Maybe something like that happens again for them. But CMC was playing, so who knows? It could be different.
I don't even know what to think right now, Jonathan Taylor. All honesty, if he just holds out this whole year and doesn't play, I don't really blame him at this point, honestly. So,
yeah, it's going to be an interesting year for Jonathan Taylor. As far as fantasy is concerned, the one thing I will say, I was avoiding him to begin with, and I feel sorry for anyone who's been drafting early because if you went and drafted Jonathan Taylor, I think there's a really good chance he doesn't play till the second half of the season because we all know there's a damaging relationship between the Colts and Taylor right now. So it makes you wonder when he's able to be activated whether or not he'll even want to play for the Colts again, which is why
they're doing him dirty.
Is it crazy I don't feel bad for JT?
Why not?
I feel like he kind of put himself in the situation. He sees a whole running back market's not getting paid, and then he doesn't get paid, and he throws a huge fit. Like, it's not just you that's having... Like, if it was just him and all these other running backs were getting paid, then 100% I'd be on JT's side. But just the fact that none of these running backs have been getting paid... Both Barkley and Jacobs basically just got a little bit literally like an extra mil. Like literally that's what they did is got like an extra mil.
Did Jacobs get any like
incentives? He got like basically like up to
signing bonus or anything?
I don't know if he got a signing bonus.
I think the one thing that makes the situation a little bit more different than Jacobs and Taylor is the owner and for the Raiders and the Giants weren't as outspoken as Jim Irsay was.
But that's just. But Josh McDaniels and them don't talk about anything publicly. Like,
that's true. That's what I'm saying, though.
So that's just how, I can't really compare it like that.
Would you feel disrespected if your owner was out there saying stuff like that, though?
The main thing he said was...
I feel disrespected.
The main thing he said is we're not trading him. I feel like that'd be...
No, he said that no one cares, basically no one cares, if we aren't in the league tomorrow, no one's going to care. But stuff like... He said a bunch of things. I don't remember exactly what he said, but...
Jim Irsay's just a crazy dude.
He is crazy. He's a crazy owner. He's very outspoken, and we've known that.
Dude,
but
that whale he spent $1 billion for died. That's crazy.
Yeah, I saw that too.
What did he do?
He spent a bunch of money on trying to save a whale, and it didn't work out, I think, or something like that.
It died on the way to the next
So shout out to him for trying to save the animals, but he couldn't even pay...
Save the planet.
He's over here paying for a whale, and he couldn't even pay Jonathan Taylor.
That's not the same thing. You can't just give him his money like that. Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Imagine if Jim Irsay could just give people his money. He would not.
No,
he's really
yeah.
like the.
That's how it would be for every owner in sports if they wanted to spend money on their team.
Especially because isn't Jim Irsay like the richest owner or one of them?
He might be up there. I'm not sure. If he is or
I'm
not.
pretty sure he's like super.
I mean, if he's
highly
spending that
up
much
there.
money on Wales, then maybe he's got it going like that.
Yeah, so that's another thing. If owners could pay, they would.
But as far as today is concerned, obviously, one thing we failed to mention at the beginning, this is roster cut day, so teams are trimming down to their 53-man rosters. And as far as some of the cuts, the only two that really stood out to me was Bradley Roby and Desmond King, which they're not like the craziest names in the world, but those are still solid depth corners in my mind. Like Desmond King is the one that stands out to me the most because as a Commanders fan, we need a better punt returner, and Desmond King is someone that like specializes in that. So I would love to get him as a depth corner and then some returning as well. Then Bradley Roby, I'm pretty sure he was famous for when the Saints had that. Wasn't he the one that hit that play that Sean Payton got all pissed off on where he was playing for the Rams? You remember what I'm talking about?
The fourth quarter play?
Yeah, where he hit him in the helmet. It should have been like unnecessary roughness or something like that.
I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure it was Bradley Roby. Yeah, it was a long time ago.
I do remember the controversial call that should have been a PI.
Yeah, I don't know if it should have been PI or it was like helmet to helmet or something like that. But I think it was something to do with Bradley Roby. If I'm not mistaken, I could be totally wrong. But that's the last I remember Bradley Roby, and I think he's been in like Denver. He's been in
that's how
he's been in a bunch of teams. But
because what I texted in the group chat right when I saw that, I was like, oh, is the Ravens gonna pick one of them up because like they need a corner? I feel like they need a little bit more cornerback depth,
especially with Marlowe hurt.
Yeah, for sure. That dude's been clout chasing. Have you seen his tweets, bro?
Yeah,
he's always been a wild tweeter though.
Bro, that dude literally tweeted like
he has to be trolling, bro.
Yeah,
he is.
That dude literally tweet because there's like a
that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
I don't even know what tweet you guys are referring to.
It's only like some guy like got injured on a play, and the guy from the other team went to go help the dude, and like then one of the other teammates or one of his teammates went and helped him too, like the injured dude. And Marlon Humphrey like tweet caption and said disgusting, like the other team helping him. I'm like, what the hell?
He's just trolling, bro.
He's got to be trolling.
And then
He's
all the
trolling.
comments, just people like, dude, this man's doing anything for clout or something. He's like, he's chasing the X money or something.
All right, let's talk about the NFC. Let's get the rest of the NFC out of the way because we previewed the whole AFC, so we have episodes for that if you haven't seen them. And now it's time to preview the rest of the NFC because we broke down the NFC East, and we're running out of time to break down every division in their own episode. So we're going to just jam it into this one. So let's just go ahead and get the NFC South out of the way. So obviously, in my mind, or should we do the NFC West? I feel like that's the easiest one to do.
Yeah, let's do NFC West.
Let's do the NFC West first because that one's the easiest to do because I think it's pretty easy. Our biggest questions for the Cardinals, like, are they tanking for Caleb Williams right now? Is that what they're doing? Is Kyler Murray going to get traded? Because right now, everything they've done, they traded away Isaiah Simmons, which is something we didn't mention. Traded him for a 7th round pick, and he was the 8th overall selection in this draft. They traded him to the Giants for a 7th round pick, and then
they traded a few other players.
And they traded offensive lineman. I think it was Jones or something like that, skipping me at the top of my head. But do you guys see Kyler Murray being traded, or do you think they're moving on from him? I mean, at this point, I don't think this team is. And then Marquise Brown's another name that you could maybe see being traded away. But yeah. Cardinals
I feel like he's still pretty young, though.
Oh, he's very young. He's like 24 or 25.
Brown? I think he's like 26 now, right? But that's still pretty young,
he's
regardless.
Still pretty young.
Yeah.
Wide receivers usually last a little bit longer.
For sure.
I saw a clip of Kyler Murray and Justin Jefferson. This is just a crazy scenario. Kyler Murray and Justin Jefferson dabbing each other up after a preseason game. Someone's like, Arizona's tanking for Caleb Williams. You can see Kyler Murray in a Vikings uniform in the future. Which, I mean... Possibly. I mean, you got Kirk Cousins who's getting on that age limit where it's like we don't know how much longer he's going to be there. Honestly, and I do believe the Arizona Cardinals are about to be in reset mode. There's just nothing good going on for that franchise. Trading your 1st round pick for a 7th round to my New York Giants. I love it. I love the pickup.
Yeah,
the pickup is just steal, dude.
It's not even a debate on who won that trade.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I think the best thing for Arizona in the long run is hitting that reset button. I don't really know what their head coach is thinking, or I haven't even heard him say a lot. A lot of people believe Kyler Murray is not that guy. I think Kyler Murray has showed glimpses of what he could potentially be, but right now, I don't imagine seeing Kyler Murray in an Arizona Cardinals uniform in the future.
Very much longer. I don't even know if he plays for them at all this year. But he's obviously starting on the physically unable to perform list. There is the possibility that he is a trade deadline candidate. I would not be surprised at all, to be honest.
The one thing I want to say about like the Vikings trade is I feel like Kyler Murray's gonna want more money than like Kirk Cousins would probably get. If I had to guess, like
I think Kyler Murray's on a contract still.
He is
though,
on
so
a contract.
He might be locked up for a little bit.
He has like 2-3 years left.
but I feel
Yeah,
like
I'm
it's a pretty
sure.
good contract, probably. Okay, well,
He gets paid a little too much in my
He
opinion.
does get paid a lot.
So
But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. The Vikings, I don't know. I just don't like their roster. I want them to go to a new rookie, too, and then, like, have the cap space to, like, actually build a team around them. Because, to me, the Vikings are missing so many pieces. I think they could easily, like I've always said, easy playoff team. I just don't know if they can go further than that.
All right, so yeah, the Cardinals clearly in reset mode. They're going to be starting either Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune week 1. I'll say this right now. If my Commanders fail to win week 1 at home with the new ownership coming in, the fan base should be rowdy. If we lose, I give up on the season already. I will tell you that right now.
Whoa, don't sleep on Clay Tune.
I don't care. I would give up on the
He's
season.
nasty.
I don't care. But as far as the other teams are concerned, are people sleeping on the Rams? Even
that
us,
team is dog shit.
you don't think
No,
that the
they're
Rams have a little
dog
bit of
shit.
juice left in them?
I'm not like saying they're just way out of the picture. I think it's hard. It's such a toss up with everything going on with the Rams, but I'm not gonna count Matt Stafford out yet. I'm not. I just
Especially with
can't
Cooper Kupp
do
still
it.
there.
Yeah, I can't. I think Cam Akers is due for a good year.
Oh,
I hope so, because man, we've been waiting for it. Feels like, and
Yeah.
last year was not it, and this year we'll see if it is. But
dude, that man has 3 good games. Everyone thinks he's gonna be the next up. Like that's crazy to me.
Oh man, but yeah, I feel like the Rams. I definitely sleep on them. I don't expect too much out of them this year with just how their roster looks.
I even like
unfortunately.
Matt Stafford, so you already know what my answer is.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like there is a world where the Rams maybe are a little surprising. So obviously you look at the Rams and the Cardinals in
But
this division.
those are just be the bottom 2. Then it just
That's what you would think, right?
Yeah.
So those two should be the bottom
It's not
two.
what I think. It's what I know.
Is what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I am seeing that Kyler Murray's deal runs through 2028.
Yeah, I'm about to say he just
But
signed.
how
not
much
that long.
was-
extension.
But how much like per year? Because I feel like what's Kirk getting paid?
He's guaranteed 160 million, and his extension was worth
Kirk's on
5-year
the last of his
extension,
deal as well,
230.5.
I
So
think.
if he could somehow get out of this deal and somehow get to the Vikings, I just don't know why the Vikings would pay him that much money. You got a star Justin Jefferson out there. You need
Vikings will be interesting to think about for the future. Like their future is going to be interesting, but we'll get to them in a second.
But something with the LA Rams to back it up. You got Aaron Donald still. It's just the defense is so shaky to me. They've lost a lot of pieces, including Jalen Ramsey. They lost, I think, what's his name, Leonard Floyd.
Leonard Floyd, yeah.
You're losing a lot of pieces. They definitely went all in, all out for that one Super Bowl. I don't see a scenario where they're not winning at least 8 games. But
Yeah, I can see that.
I really just don't know with the LA Rams. I mean, Sean McVay's a great coach.
There's like good things there, but then the rest of the roster is just bad.
It's just
So,
like question mark. I
yeah.
mean, Tyler Higbee's a pretty good tight end.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Yeah, Tyler Higbee's not bad, and Cooper Kupp. There's like, and obviously Aaron Donald, but didn't he struggle to stay healthy last year too?
I don't know. He
remember.
definitely did not have.
I didn't pay
the
attention to Rams
same.
much last
Me
year.
either. His season last year was not even compared to his other seasons.
I've always just been preaching since, dude. It pissed me off so much that year that Matt Stafford went there, and towards the end of that regular season, he was just playing like ass because that was one of the most stacked rosters in the league, and that's why I just don't have any faith in him anymore because that roster's just even worse than what it was. So like, I just don't have faith.
All right, so we got those two out of the way because those are the two teams you
Yeah.
would think maybe be the bottom of this division. If we go off last year, obviously Seattle was very surprising last year. Everyone thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, including myself.
All of
And
us
they
did.
were. Yeah, I think a lot of us thought that. And then we got San Francisco, who obviously, as we said, traded away Trey Lance. Are rolling with Brock Purdy. I mean, there's not many questions I have with 49ers. Can Brock Purdy repeat? As basically for both of them, can Geno Smith and Brock Purdy repeat what they were doing last year is my biggest question.
I feel like it's the biggest question because I feel like the 49ers defense is never a question. You know it's good. The Seahawks has been a little bit questionable, but I do think that with the Devin Witherspoon addition, I do think that their secondary is going to get a lot better. And I feel like that's one of their biggest issues was their secondary. So I do feel like you could really see this year that I honestly think that Seattle might be my favorite. If it's a close one, but
Seattle's
Yeah,
in a good
for real.
spot. I really
Yeah,
like
I
what they're
really-
doing. They just
and
added Jackson
Jackson,
Smith
yeah.
and Najigba to this team as well. I mean, they're in a great spot.
For sure. A big thing with Seattle is I was actually just talking about this in the barbershop. Like comparing the Russell Wilson, did Pete Carroll make Russell Wilson? This man, Geno Smith, went to the Seahawks and had his best season yet under Pete Carroll's system. So it's like, is Pete Carroll like really like this guru? You know what I'm saying?
He could be, man.
He
He's
could
always
be.
been a great coach. so.
I agree with Dustin. I kind of have a favorite with the Seahawks this year over the Niners just because I know it's a little crazy. I love Tariq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon. You got the 3 receivers, DK.
Don't get me wrong.
Jackson Smith.
If you look on paper, like I think the
Tyler
49ers roster, I think
is a little more stacked for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But
I just feel like I like Geno Smith over both Sam Darnold and
for the Seahawks to have the season they had last year and just like everyone already counted them out, it's very impressive.
Yeah, it is. So, I mean, again, nobody expected what they did last year. So,
and like that's another good thing that I like that Alex pointed out too is that I remember Alex saying that he thought Pete Carroll made Russ, and the way that Geno Smith went from like
just so below average,
just like not like just a backup in the league to doing what he did. It is crazy. I mean, I know you could just say, "Oh, the offensive power," which is there, but look now, the offensive power is even better. So,
and I'm pretty sure Geno Smith broke the passing yard single season record in Seattle last year. I'm pretty sure he did. Don't mark my words, but
that'd be crazy.
If he did, we'll continue on. I'm gonna just Google this real quick. All right,
so while he's Googling that, to fact check that, but for final verdict, like I said, I didn't want to spend too much time on this division because Cardinals are, in my mind, like no brainer. I'll put a bunch of money on it. They're gonna be bad this year. Whether or not they trade Murray remains to be seen. We'll see. Rams, I don't know what to think of them. I think they're going to be bad, but I can see a world where, like Alex said, they could win like 8 games. Geno Smith is not only personal 4,282 yards, not only the best personal record, but new passing record for the Seahawks. Wow. Yeah, shout out to Geno, man. Wow. What a great year out of him last year.
Yeah, awesome.
Especially with how long Russ has been there in 1 year.
Yeah, that's my point.
Like Cardinals, Rams, and then kind of a debate between Seattle and San Francisco. I'm personally going to still put San Francisco number 1, though.
I agree. I will. I still have the 49ers win it, but for some crazy scenario, I feel like the Seahawks are definitely going to give them the run for their money. If the Seahawks were to squeak by and be first in the division, don't be surprised.
Like I said, I'm going to continue riding my trend that I don't like Brock Purdy, so I'm going to just say that. I think they're going to make playoffs no matter what. You will see the 49ers in playoffs, but I think you do see Seattle winning this division this year.
All right. Let's go to the NFC South now because I wanted to get the NFC West out of the way. So NFC South is one of the more interesting divisions because you have the one veteran quarterback and then you have a bunch of young quarterbacks in this division. So obviously you have Bryce Young in Carolina. You're going to have Desmond Ridder in Atlanta. And then you're going to have, or I guess Baker, sorry, is not young. I don't know why I said he was young. But Baker Mayfield and then Derek Carr. So I'm curious to see who is going to win this division because, like, you could literally you could tell me that you think this team is going to win and the other team will be 4th place. And I would believe you because I feel like this division is so open right now. And it's like, biggest questions for me is like, how good was Bryce Young worth, trading up to number 1? Was he worth it? Was he the guy for them? So I don't expect Carolina to win this division by any means. They added Adam Thielen, which is great, but I think it's going to be more of a rebuild, retool year for Carolina. Maybe they get like 6 or 7 wins. But I mean, what other questions you guys have for this division?
I feel like obviously the biggest question for me, I feel like has to be because you always see these random tangents where Baker Mayfield gets super hyped up, and I feel like he did do really good in the preseason, which doesn't really prove much to me because a lot of rookies quarterbacks have looked good in the preseason. And like that's their first games in the NFL, so I think with his experience, he should be balling out in preseason every time.
He should be. He should be. I mean, this is Baker's, in my mind, last chance to prove anything. And he's got a good core around him with Mike Evans, Chris Godwin still.
Vets, man. He has the vets around, and he has a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
That O-line's so suspect, though, I'm pretty sure.
And they just lost Ryan Jensen for the season. So that doesn't
they
help.
Did?
Yeah.
He got injured?
Yep.
Wow. He got injured last year, too, right?
He's out for the season again.
Wow. That's upsetting. He's a really good center.
That makes it even worse for them. I didn't even know that.
I'm not a Baker hater, but I'm not necessarily a Baker believer as well. Maybe it was a system thing. Who really knows at this point with him in Cleveland? But he had all these weapons in Cleveland as well.
And his first
honestly,
year, he did pop off.
Yeah, in Cleveland, he had like one good year where they
one
made
playoff
win,
which is rookie year, wasn't it?
And then
he had a playoff win like his second or third year. I thought.
And then he did, and then they lost to the Chiefs, right?
Yeah. So, even if Baker just plays awful this year, I don't see him getting out of the league. I see him being a consistent backup for the rest of his career. Like, I don't really see him being booted out of the league because he's proved in Carolina he can be second string and still support the starting quarterback. I think he just has so much humble beginnings that he always keeps that reality check that football's temporary. Mm-hmm. Him winning the Heisman, him going first round, first pick. But I do believe that Baker might surprise a lot of people this year. I really do. Like, I'm not high on Baker at all, but I just feel like that if he can get that hunger back and then just perform on top of it, which I think the hunger's definitely there, he's gonna show people a lot.
I think Baker playing good would be great for the league, obviously. So I'm not preying on his downfall by any means. He's got the weapons around him. Does that mean the Bucks have any chance of winning this division, though?
I don't think they're the favorites for me. You already know who my favorites are going to be, but just because of roster alone. But I don't even think it's just because of the quarterback. I do think Derek Carr is the best quarterback in that division, obviously.
Oh, no debate.
But it's also the roster itself. I do like the Bucks defense a little bit, but I feel like they're just getting a lot older, like a lot older.
They are.
And I already said that their O-line suspect. I didn't even know that O-line man got injured, so that just made it even worse for me because I feel like Baker Mayfield, he's a little bit mobile, but he's not like that crazy mobile. And if their O-line just getting thrashed, dude, that's gonna be scary. Because I feel like when you look at the Panthers and the Saints, their defenses are so stacked, dude. Like I do not care what anyone says. The only question mark for me on the Panthers is literally their offensive power. Because on defense, I think they have all the tools to get it done. Yes, they can have a little bit of upgrades here and there, but to me, they're one of the best defenses in the league. It's close with me on the Panthers and Saints on who has the best defense in that league.
In that division or the whole league?
No, I'm a division.
I was about to say you were saying the whole league. I was like, damn.
Saints defense is very impressive to me.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
they got the defense for sure, and I do believe Derek Carr is going to get it done and win this division this year.
And what about the Falcons?
I don't have it.
My biggest question is Kyle Pitts going to finally have his breakout year, man? We've been waiting on it, I feel like. And last year was a down year for him. If you watched the Falcons last year, I was a Kyle Pitts fantasy owner. So I would watch the Falcons games here and there to see what... I mean, I don't know, man. There were just so many frustrating things. And one thing I will say, though, Marcus Mariota was very bad last year. I don't know much about Desmond Ridder. To be honest, I haven't heard enough about him, and I have not watched him enough either to have an opinion on Desmond Ridder. So, and then, of course, they just drafted Bijan Robinson as well. Will he be the generational running back everyone thinks he will be? I mean, running back's one of the easier positions to play until, obviously, you break down a lot. So, I don't know if I should be saying that, but, again, Bijan should be really good, like we think. But do the Falcons have a chance at winning this division?
I think it's fair they have a chance of winning the division.
I feel like you have to. It's not just like, oh, there's two bottom teams you don't think are going to make it, and then the top teams are. Like in the NFC West, I was just like the top two, and then the bottom two, like we just don't think it's going to make it. And this division is kind of wide open. I'm sure we all probably favor the Saints just a little bit going into this season. Like I said, Panthers is a really close second to me. I just have to wait. Another big thing, too, with the Panthers is their wide receivers. Literally, I think Adam Thielen's like the best one, literally.
Jonathan Mingo is someone to be excited about.
You remember who I used to always be hyped up about, and he never proved anything?
Who? Terrence Marshall?
No,
Laviska Shenault.
Laviska Shenault. I thought that dude was going to be a dog.
I will say one thing. I feel like I can guarantee that the Panthers don't win this division. I don't think they're ready for it. That's my opinion. I think it's mainly going to be between the Saints. Obviously, I think they should be the favorite, to be honest. They got the veteran quarterback. They still have a really good roster. If Michael Thomas can actually be healthy this year with Chris Olave, there should be a lot of excitement in New Orleans with Carr coming over, and then Kamara will be suspended, but they got Kendre Miller, Jamal Williams. So the defense, they got Cameron Jordan still, Marshawn Lattimore, Tyrann Mathieu still over there in New Orleans. So
and that's another thing too is like, I think especially with Derek Carr, like not even trying to hype him up because I know he was our quarterback for like his whole career until this year, but he really did put on a lot of muscle, and I think you're really going to see him, like, I'm not going to say this is going to be consistently every year, but I think this year you're really going to see him ball out just because, like, to show off to the Raiders and be like, oh, that's what you get for trading me, or basically, or letting me go.
And he'll be in a much easier conference.
Exactly. So and that's another thing is that he doesn't have to play the Chiefs twice, the Chargers twice. Like, he doesn't got to do that anymore. He literally has a wide open division where he probably looks at it, he's like, oh,
wow, it's a cakewalk.
And he's
practicing against a very solid New Orleans defense every day. I was just checking the depth chart for the Falcons again. Jeff Okuda, I don't know. Okuda, AJ Terrell. They got Calais Campbell now. I just realized that. Troy Anderson's there. Richie Grant, safety. Jesse Bates. I mean, the defense is there. I just can't get on this Desmond Ridder train yet, but
I don't know.
He said I'm gonna bring some Super Bowls to Atlanta.
Ridder yet, so we'll see.
Oh, man. Yes.
Wait, what do you say?
He said he's gonna bring Super Bowls to Atlanta.
All right. Ridder,
last quarterback to say that was
Josh Rosen. Yeah, that career went downhill quick, man.
Okay, I got another question for you about the Falcons before we move on, though. Okay, do you guys think? I've been hearing a lot of me and Brady are obviously on the Bijan train, but I also do like Tyler Algier. I don't know how to say
Tyler
his
Algier,
yeah, him. I even forget sometimes they have Cordell Patterson.
I've been
so like that's like the crazy thing to me is I'm really high on Bijan, and I think obviously he's already the number 1 there. It's already on the depth chart, but I also am scared to like I want to pick him at 8 because I feel like his potential is just there, but like. At the same time, I'm like, dude, I like Tyler Algier a lot too. Cordell Patterson, I don't think he's gonna be like. I'm not worried about it.
I just don't want. It's just crazy that Bijan gets there and like everyone just stops talking about Cordell Patterson after this season.
Yeah, he was even there still. To be honest.
Well, Tyler Algier took that shit over last year, so he had 1,000 yards last year. Tyler.
Plus,
did.
Patterson used to be a wide receiver converted to running back, so he could literally play anywhere they want him to.
And he's questionable right now too. I just saw that.
Wasn't this Tyler Algier's like? This is only his 2nd season, isn't it?
He was a 5th round pick last year.
Yeah, he was literally a rookie last year.
One thing I will say is because Bijan, Arthur Smith loves to run multiple backs. He like ran like 3 running backs last year at a time. It felt like so. I can see a world where all 3 are still very much involved. Bijan though, I think would be the guy you'd want in that backfield just because he's the name there. But as far as how this division is going to go, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Panthers finish 4th in the division. That's gonna be my prediction there. I think I can lock that one in. And then between the Falcons, Saints, and also the Bucks, I think I'm going to go with Bucks at 3rd, Falcons 2nd, and Saints number 1. I think I'm going to be a big Saints believer. I think this is their division to win. It's wide open though. I'll say that. Like I'm not saying. I mean, it should be.
It's not a lock, but like it should be. It should be. Yeah.
It's kind of like that. So.
Because you've always seen Derek Carr kind of play inconsistently. For me. I just can't, bro. I can't be a Baker believer. So it'd probably be Bucks last for me. Probably then the Falcons because I did obviously remember like Jesse Bates, but I obviously forgot about Jeff Okudah going there. I obviously knew about AJ Terrell. So like their secondary is super good.
But bro, you gotta remember about the one reason why I have the Falcons number 2 is because that man won them like 7 or what was it? I don't know. He won them like crazy amount of games for what Arthur Smith was working with last year.
That is true, and like that's why it's like a close second. I just have to put Panthers there. I don't know what. I just think Brian Burns is gonna go off again. Like dude, I just love that.
Jeremy Chin.
Yeah.
J.C. Horn.
Yeah, J.C.
CJ is CJ Henderson still there?
I think.
Okay. Oh, you're good.
I'm pretty sure he's still there.
Let me check.
But as far as this division is concerned, I got. Go ahead. I got the Saints winning it.
I got the Saints winning it for sure. I have the Falcons at 2, Panthers at 3, Bucks at 4. I don't know. I just can't get on this Baker train.
I can't either.
I really can't. I'm not saying they're gonna only win 2-3 games. I think they potentially could win more than that for sure. I just don't see Baker Mayfield throwing the football to Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, like Tom Brady did. I just don't see it. It's just such a crazy leap.
Plus, they were disappointing last year to begin with anyway.
Yeah, so
you're going to put Baker in that situation.
Sadly, this might be the season we see Mike Evans slip away his 9th season straight with over 1,000 yards. I don't want to see it. I want to see Mike Evans.
He still gets it with 17 games, though.
That'd be crazy. That'd be awesome.
He still gets it.
Yeah, I mean, it says that Dante Jackson's their second one, and then obviously they have Shaq Thomas there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Xavier Woods isn't bad either.
Henderson's not there anymore?
Or he is, but he's a backup, I think.
Oh, okay.
Or he might be the 3rd there. It just is the way the depth chart is.
I was about to say, I didn't think they traded him.
No.
All right. That's the NFC South. Let's move on to the most exciting division in the NFC. Outside of maybe the NFC East, you can make a debate on it. NFC North is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, this is my favorite division.
I'm a Commanders fan, and this is one of my favorite divisions, I think, going into this year because every team has an argument to make the playoffs this year. I think every single team is on the aspirations of wanting to make the playoffs. No one's clearly trying to tank. Obviously, that's how it is in the NFC East as well. But, man, you got the Lions, the Bears, the Vikings, the Packers. What is some of your biggest questions going into this? You can break it down one by one or whatever you want to do.
I'm going to just break it down with the Vikings. We already know what the biggest question mark is. It's the defense.
Yeah.
The defense.
How long is their window open?
Yeah,
is also
I
my
don't
question.
know. 31st ranked defense last year was in like the craziest point differential ever in history. Like there was no the fact that they won that many games is insane to me.
The offensive power is just there.
They lost Dalvin Cook. I don't think that's going to be a big blow to their scheme. I mean, they're gonna find a way. Kirk, obviously, we know what he can do. He puts up numbers. He just don't get it done in the
when it
matters most. So yeah, that's obviously my only question for the Vikings is the defense. What's going to happen?
That is a good question. I also wonder how much longer their Super Bowl window is open, because they had to cut a bunch of veterans this offseason. And I think if it's another disappointing year, you're going to see a similar trend where they're cutting even more veterans.
And another thing, so the defense is the main issue for me. The second thing, too, is their O-line. To me, they don't have one of the better O-lines in the league. And I feel like you really, I don't know who their backup is after Alexander Madison. I literally have no idea. But if Alexander Madison ends up getting hurt, that's just going to throw their chances down.
He's already questionable, too.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know how I feel. I think to me, this might be hard to say. I don't know who I'm going to put at the bottom of the division yet, but it's a close call for me.
Yeah, I think the Vikings, the window is running out for me. I thought it was running out last year when they went to the playoffs and lost to the Giants, but they've extended their time a little bit longer. I think Kirk literally has 1 year left in his contract, if I'm not mistaken. So it'll be interesting to see what the future will be like for the Vikings, but we're only thinking about this season. So as far as the Vikings are concerned, my biggest question for the Packers is the defense going to finally be what it's supposed to be? Because obviously the Packers passed up on drafting a wide receiver for Aaron Rodgers in the first round last year when they still had him. Instead, they drafted a bunch of defensive players, and they kind of did a similar thing this year as well.
Yep.
So Jordan Love, obviously, that's the obvious question. How good is Jordan Love going to be?
Everyone's been hyping him up.
They believe in him, so I assume he'll be fine. What kind of year is Christian Watson going to have? Because there's a lot of hype around him. But the defense, in my mind, is the biggest question, because there's a lot of talent on the defense side of the football, but they were very disappointing last year. One guy that I thought they should have got rid of was Joe Barry. Literally had the defense for the worst team in the league when the Lions went 0-16. He was also defensive coordinator in Washington for a period of time, and I never liked him. Don't know why Green Bay held on to him again, but we'll see how it goes. But that's my biggest question for
Yeah, I feel like that's the main thing. I feel like, obviously, if Jordan Love can continue the hype he has and actually prove that the hype is real, that's a big question. That's the biggest question for me. And then, like Brady said, their defense is so good on paper. It definitely is, and it just...
Jair, Rashawn Gary, Quay Walker, Kenny Clark, Rasul Douglas. They still have Amos, I believe. He could be gone. I can't remember now.
And
but
I can't remember that rookie they drafted.
Savage.
They drafted a rookie, I think he's DN.
Yeah, no, that's their tight end.
No,
sorry.
I think it's Van. It's something.
Van something. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I can't think of it at the top of my head. But yeah, they also drafted a tight end and replaced Robert Tonyan with Luke Musgrave.
Yep.
They got Dobbs, who should have a good maybe second year. Then with Christian Watson, they also drafted Jaden Reed. So there's a lot of excitement for this Green Bay team. The one question for the offensive line is David Bakhtiari, his health. Is he actually going to play a full season this year? That's always been a problem with David Bakhtiari. But I think moving on from the Packers, for the Lions, man, we all know what kind of run they went on last year.
Brady, I was wrong. He was not a DN. I forgot I was a linebacker, and then his name was Lucas Van Ness. I knew it was Van something, yeah.
But they run a 4 or 3-4 anyway, so he would be playing on the edge.
Yeah, okay, that is true.
But I'll say this: I think for the Lions, is Jared Goff going to repeat what kind of he was doing last year? He's always been solid. He's always been a solid quarterback.
I was kind of mad when the Rams kind of just acted like he was just trash and kicked him out. Obviously, he wasn't playing up to expectations.
It worked out for them, though.
But
they won Super Bowl.
But I also think it worked out for the Lions.
Yeah, I mean,
they got a great package. I feel like, for him, or to get in, just talk on Jared Goff, and the fact that no one really thought that Jared Goff was going to be there for that long, because especially after the Rams trading him, and the fact that he's still there, it just shows that the Lions have faith in him. Obviously, adding Jahmyr Gibbs, everyone thinks outside of Bijan, that's probably the next running back that a lot of people have hype on. I've been drafting both those two rookies a lot. And then, obviously, another big question for me is, why am I blanking on his name? The one that everyone always ties up, their wide receiver.
Jameson Wilson.
Yeah, him.
Suspended.
Yeah, he's suspended for how many?
6 games?
6 games.
Six. I didn't even know.
And he was hurt all last year, so he hasn't been able to play very much for the Lions.
And all Lions fans do is hype that dude up.
And Amon-Ra St. Brown, what kind of year are we getting
out
of
Amon-Ra St. Brown? Phenomenal. He's going to have a phenomenal year.
He's a dog,
was something I'm going to give a shout out. Jerry Jacobs, starting corner for the Detroit Lions this year, went to Hutchinson Community College.
Oh, yeah.
Played with him, so then they got C.J. Gardner-Johnson back there as well at corner or at safety. Sorry, dude, I don't see why in a crazy scenario, even with Aiden Hutchinson at DN, why can't Detroit not win this thing, man? I don't know why they couldn't at this point. There's really the fact that some people within the NFL world are still saying Detroit does not have a chance of winning this. Detroit has a legitimate shot of winning the NFC North.
The one thing I'll criticize about Detroit is I wanted them to draft defense higher than they did in the draft.
And yeah, I also agree. But another thing too that like just a big name that we I feel like we haven't mentioned, dude, Aiden Hutchinson. That dude's a freaking
monster.
Freaking dog, bro.
That dude's
Monster.
freaking.
Yeah, I mean, I expect a big year out of Aiden Hutchinson again. They were able to draft him with this. Was it the third or second overall pick?
Second.
One of the two, because Trayvon Walker went one. So, yeah, the Lions,
I
and then
that too. No.
You did call that.
You did. But last but not least, the Bears, man.
A
lot of people expect
baby.
to jump out of the Bears. I think obviously the biggest question is, and we've been kind of saying it all off season, is Justin Fields going to be like a Josh Allen type guy, where obviously Josh Allen jumps up as soon as they get Diggs. They add DJ Moore, and I've been kind of hinting at it, saying it. I think a lot of people know about this already, so I'm not saying I'm coining this by any means. But again, like when Jalen Hurts got AJ Brown, stuff like that. When you get a premier wide receiver, does Justin Fields take that next step? Is he going to be a more accurate passer? Obviously, we know his rushing attack is going to be there for him. And then they also have, Khalil Herbert, Deontay Foreman. They have a rookie Rashawn Johnson. But DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney's still there, but I saw he was like a trade candidate. I don't know how realistic or how real that was. But are the Bears, and then of course they invest a lot of money on the defense with
and offensive line too.
Yeah, and then on the offensive line with TJ.
They had so much money to spend that they
had a lot of money to spend. They added Yannick Ngakoue as well. That was a late addition.
That was the best. Dude, I was so mad when he went for that cheap. I was like, that was a steal.
So this whole division is just there for the taking, and I think every single team has a legit shot at winning this division. I really do. So I don't think there's no easy pick here in my mind on who is going to win this division.
I'll go first then, okay?
Okay. Unless you guys have other questions for the Bears before.
Obviously, like, I guess one of the biggest concerns is just like I don't like how people compare like Justin Fields like they did. It's just because like he didn't have really a roster built around him. I feel like this is like the first year that you can really like actually judge Justin Fields for what he is, because like
coaching was never there either.
Yeah, exactly. To me, he never had a roster that solidified like, hey, this could be a playoff team. So I don't think he ever got a real opportunity to prove who he was. I think I've always been a believer in Justin Fields, so I've always said that he's gonna be good. But especially since from the Elite 11 from back in high school, I remember watching him play. So I just think that question just doesn't even start till this year. I don't know if you guys agree with me, but I don't think anyone questioning him starts until now. Yeah. This is the year where you got DJ Moore. Darnell Mooney to me was never number one. That was always their number one for a minute.
I thought he had potential to be, but after last year, I'm off on it. I don't see it.
And the running back situation there still.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, it is, which is why I brought up the idea of them maybe going for Jonathan Taylor, which they didn't, which is fine. Investing in a running back like that is
because who you say
expensive.
It was Deontay Foreman,
Rashawn Johnson, Khalil Herbert.
I like that back because I feel like Khalil Herbert's a starter. Foreman's a guy that showed that he could get it done in Carolina when CMC was gone, and
Rashawn Johnson, and then Rashawn Johnson's a rookie.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't know too much about him yet. I'm sure we'll find out.
I feel like those two running backs, Khalil Herbert and Foreman, are both talented backs that can definitely get the job done. I feel like the difference between Miami and them trying to trade for JT is I do not feel that the Miami has a running back as good as Khalil Herbert or Foreman. Because to me, Foreman proved himself last year to me. He was my number one running back on the Panthers once CMC left. I'm blanking on the other dudes.
Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah, Hubbard was another guy people were high on, but I was a Foreman believer, and he did get it done that whole season for me usually.
So who wins this division, man?
Go ahead, Dustin.
Final verdict.
Vikings 4th.
Vikings 4, really?
Dude,
to be honest with you, you could have said any team and I would have been shocked. Like, there's literally such a legitimate shot that all four of these teams can make the playoffs.
My only main reasoning for putting them 4th is defense, dude. And then at 3,
you don't think you're not moved by Byron Murphy as an addition? You guys see what he did to Marquise Brown at practice?
Little guy.
Dude, he clamped up Marquise Brown.
I don't care. Marquise Brown's ass. Motherfucker probably dropped the pass anyways when it got to him.
No, it didn't even get to him. Byron Murphy was all over him.
No, but I'm saying even if it did.
But I love the Byron Murphy addition for that team.
But okay, so them 4th, I'll put Packers 3rd. And this is really hard for me. I got to state my Lions really right. I think the Bears will be in playoffs. I put Bears at 2, and then I got to put Lions at 1.
What about you, Alex? Do you want me to go?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to just come out and say this. I am not confident in any answer I'm about to have because I legitimately feel like this could go either way. Like, literally, this is one of the more wide open divisions in the whole league in my mind. I could see a chance at every single one of these teams winning this division, but if I had to choose, if you had to like gun in my head, make me predict on how this division is going to pan out, I would go number 4.
Green Bay Packers.
Oh man, this is so tough. I guess I would go Green Bay. Number 3, I would go probably the Bears, I guess. Number 2, dude, this is so hard. The
It's
Lions.
so hard.
The one Viking. I legitimately do not know. Like, I don't even want to make a prediction. This is so hard in my opinion. It's so hard.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm just 4. Sorry, Skylar. Green Bay will be at 4. I need to see something out of Jordan Love. I don't know if the defense is going to do it this year. I love Jair Alexander. I do think he's a premier cornerback. I do think he's top 3. You can put him at 1 if you'd like. 3, dude, this is so hard. This is the hardest division.
It's so tough. Like, literally, this is the toughest division of all time. Not all time, but you get what I'm saying. Of all of them, easily the toughest division.
This is just me shitballing it, I guess. For some weird reason, Detroit's not going to live up to the hype. I don't know. They're at my 3 right now. Something's going to happen. Something's not going to pan out the way it should be. 2, Bears, and I still have the Minnesota Vikings at 1. Dustin has them at 4.
That's kind of what mine was. Bears.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's literally what mine was.
That is crazy.
Vikings,
Detroit?
Lions, Bears, and then Packers, I think is what I said.
Listen, I'm just gonna go off the hype because the only argument to me about the 4 spot would be the Packers over the Vikings, and if Jordan Love can get it going, I do like the Packers roster more than the Vikings. Obviously, in some spots, obviously the Vikings are way better, but I just think overall that I do have more faith.
I just also that Kirk and Justin Jefferson connection is so solid. And then with the addition of Jordan Addison, and you got KJ Osborne, is that his name? Still there. I mean, it's going to take a lot for these 3 defenses to stop them. It's going to take a lot, bro. Like, you got to worry about 3 guys who can get it all done.
But I also feel like you got to worry about Dalvin Cook now, and I don't know if Alexander Madison's Dalvin Cook.
Yeah, I mean, Madison has proven to be decent when Cook has been injured, but
for sure,
we don't know what it's going to look like in a larger sample size. But is there anything you guys have else to add to this division?
Go Saints.
Go Saints.
Go Saints.
I'm going to say, outside the division, shout out to the New York Giants, shout out to Coach Dayball, shout out to Joe Sheen. Let's get it popping, baby. Isaiah Simmons. Let's get it.
This is the last episode before we're talking about football.
Real life. Week 1's coming soon.
So, is there anything else you want to say before we get to that point?
Josh Jacobs will be the number 1 running back in the league by the end of the season again. Mark my words, he's not falling out of top 2.
All right, what you got?
Well,
Alex?
Christian McCaffrey was number 1 in my opinion, but
we'll see stats wise what happens.
But I don't got much to say. I do want to mention, because Hard Knocks is posting how Sauce Gardner tipped the pass route Jalen Hyatt was running. Low key, did kind of grab him. You could questionable PI if not, but the route before that, Jalen Hyatt absolutely torched Sauce Gardner. Film proves it. I feel like Jalen Hyatt's due for a big year. I think he's going to shock the world.
What have I been saying? I told you when we were talking about the Giants last week that was
Jalen Hyatt.
I
like Giants. It. And Darren Waller, I think he's due for a big year as well. Shout out to Darren Waller.
If he can stay healthy.
If he can stay healthy.
I'm hoping for you, Waller. I want to see you do good again.
Daniel Jones is going to prove why he deserves to be in the league as well.
The one thing I have to say, this is for my Commanders, Sam Howell, please be the answer at quarterback. I'm begging you,
please,
man. Please,
football gods, please
be the answer at quarterback.
Please send the answers.
Please, man.
Week 1.
And please win week 1. Please, dude. Like, if
who
we
y'all got?
Arizona.
Dude, if y'all lose it there,
at home, we're going to be at home. If we lose week 1, I'm going to be the most down bad. And it's only going to be week 1 as well. I'm going to be so down bad. It's not even gonna be funny. I may not even come. I may just like set up the podcast for you guys and let you all record, and then I'll just sit outside the door if you need me, and I won't talk.
Brady,
nothing to say, bro. Like,
I'll talk for Brady.
You cannot lose your first game with home field advantage. Should be back with Dan Snyder gone, bro.
Fired up.
We got to get it done.
And I'm not ready for this next week's podcast when all these dudes are gonna start picking the Broncos over the Raiders week 1.
We'll get so next week's gonna be fun because we're gonna it's gonna be you'll see we got some things planned, but Thank you guys for watching. As always, we'll see y'all in the next one. Football we'll be talking about some actual games next week. Thank you guys for watching. It's in the slant. We're saying peace.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Go ahead and click here to subscribe and of course to watch some more.